You are watching Influence Media, PSI TV, the Netflix of biz brands.
Today's show is for you if you want to start a business, but if you already have a business, if you want to scale. If you're turning your operation into a franchise, sounds like the way to go, this is definitely the show for you. But what about if you want to start your own business and you're not sure what to do? That's totally natural. Going from employee to business owner is not a natural jump. And many get it wrong. In fact, the Small Business Association, their data indicates that only 20% of small businesses survive their first year, and 50% never make it to year 7. So giving yourself the best chance at success right out the gate might just mean jumping into an established brand with a complete profit manual. And my guest today is going to help us do that. But if you already own a business and you're making some success and you want to scale, he also has a solution for you. So my guest today is Greg Mohr. We just need more of this, guys. So Greg is a Wall Street Journal best-selling author of the book Real Freedom: Why Franchises Are Worth Considering and How They Can Be Used to Build Wealth. Mohr has a history of entrepreneurial experiences such as storage units, rental properties, and dry cleaning. But in addition, he has managed restaurants and worked in the electronic circuit engineering space. This multidimensional experience gives Greg an advantage in the franchise space because he's able to truly assess the industries, match the buyers with the ideal franchise for their business adventure. Greg also helps business owners convert their business into franchise operations as well. Greg, thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me, Trudy. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. So, Greg, I have a couple questions for you. Before you went into the franchise business, when I researched you, it said you worked with a master franchisor. So you started your business not only on the inside track, but you started it with a master mentor. How many clients have had the privilege of working with you since you've launched your business?
In the last 10 years, just over 400 at this point in time.
Okay, fantastic. So you wrote this book, Real Freedom: Why Franchises Are Worth Considering and How They Can Be Used for Building Wealth. Greg, who would benefit the most from reading that book? And don't give away the content, but how much of the book is kind of like a DIY, and what can a reader look forward to if they grab a copy?
Anybody that is looking to build another income, they want to build another income, keep their day jobs, but build an income on the side. They're tired of the corporate world. They want to get out of it. They want to run their own business. They want to be in control of their schedule. Anybody interested in franchising, this is a great book. It is a DIY book. You can do it yourself. After going through my book with real world examples of how I work with clients, it is a step-by-step process. The only thing that would be a challenge to anybody who just picks up the book, goes through that, the only thing that's lacking is they won't know which franchises are looking for people just like them. That's where a franchise consultant comes in. I work with a few hundred different franchises. I know who they're looking for. So once I know who you are, then I can do the matchup on that. But if you go through that book, complete DIY, step-by-step process, franchise agreement, franchise disclosure documents, how to investigate that franchise, what to look for, it's all in there.
And that's still a great way to start, because that will help eliminate a lot of questions, even if that should be a good idea for them before they even get to somebody like you. So it's still a great idea. Now, Greg, just because a franchise, you kind of hinted at this a little bit, just because a franchise opportunity exists doesn't mean it's a good one. You kind of hinted at that match there a second ago. But while a client's interest may be a starting point for which direction your search goes in, how do you help filter for the opportunities to discard the bad and create a short list of good ones?
I ask where you have been, so I know your background, what you're good at. Where are you at now? Did you just leave your job? You still working your job? What are you doing? And then where do you want to be 5 to 10 years from now? That way I've got your background. I know what skill set you have. I know what you're good at. Where are you at now? I know what kind of time you're looking at. I know what kind of investment you're looking for. And then where have you been, or where do you want to be in the next 5 to 10 years? Then I can structure that around which franchises will be a good fit for that particular person, or if franchising is right for the person in the first place.
Now, research shows that the life cycle of any business kind of looks like a bell curve. Considering the natural life cycle, how does buying a franchise solve the profitability and sustainability after somebody makes what's probably a very, steep initial investment?
Yeah, that is going to be one of the bigger investments you'll make in your life is with a franchise if you decide to go that route. So the first part of that, where a lot of businesses drop off, 20% of them that don't make it through the first year. When you're starting your own business, you are on your own. I mean, if you can find some mentors that are going to help you out, that's great for the most part. But you're doing that. You've come up with that idea, a great idea. You're on your own doing it. When you get into a franchise system, somebody else has already come up with an idea for you. Somebody else has a great idea. I didn't have any great ideas when I wanted to go into business for myself. So I knew that, I'd need to go into a franchise because they're going to teach you. They're going to have all those processes and procedures and manuals in place step by step where you're never wondering what I do next. So that is going to be one thing that's going to keep you from being part of that failure group, is the fact that you've got the team of people behind you to make you successful. And it is in the franchise's best interest to make you successful and to make sure you don't fail. Now, as far as the long-term goes, once go into a little bit about what you asked for as far as turning your franchise into a business. Once a franchisor has developed their business and they turn it into a franchise, they step back from that process. Now they're just looking at, how do I develop that franchise in that industry? How do I make it stronger? How do I make it viable in the years to come? So now, as a franchise owner, that franchisor is taking that step back and he's looking towards the future, how to grow that franchise, 20 units, 50 units, 100 units, 1,000 units, what's happening in the industry, what new processes do we need to bring on? So you've got somebody else in the background with a team of people looking down the road and how to keep that business viable in people's eyes for the next 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 years on that. So that's what you're buying into. That's what you're investing into when you get into a franchise. All those systems and processes in place, somebody that's going to be looking down the road to help you grow and to help that franchise itself and that business itself grow over the next many years.
It was a church, but it's like the moment you put up like a Starbucks, it's recognizable from day one. It starts to churn money. Whereas like even the business I'm in right now with television, I'm in my 4th year, but my first 2 years were like, oh my gosh, it was like not much going on. And it was just sheer tenacity. And honestly, I think with a startup, people are still spending so much money, just maybe in smaller increments. But over time, we make so many mistakes. We're probably throwing away a lot of good money to begin with. So a franchise is really all the bugs worked out. That's all been done. You're pretty much starting at the profit line of that organization as your day one, is what it sounds like to me. Am I right?
You are correct, Trudy. That's exactly why you pay that franchise fee and why you pay those ongoing royalties, because they've already made the mistakes. They've already worked out the bugs. Now they just say, here, follow what we do. And they'll show you, this is what I did to make this amount of money. You do the same thing, the chances of your success are that much greater.
And you know what? Chance of success is a kind of hope so many people need, because you start a business, you go in blind. But when you go in with a franchise, you're not going in blind. So that being said, I want to speak a little bit to those who already have a business, myself included, in terms of the one I've got now. For projecting into the future, we want to scale, we want to grow. What are some of the things that if we were considering one day, scaling through the aspect of franchises, what are some of the things that you would guide a business to start making sure these things are in place for a person like you to say, yes, your business is hitting the benchmark criteria for what we're looking for a franchise startup? Well, what would those things be?
First of all, if a proven record of success. So you've got to have a record of success. When my clients come to me and they're looking and they're going to start investing in a franchise, they want to know, obviously, the very first question is, how much can I make at this business? So you've got to be able to show that you're making a profit, and preferably $100,000 or more on that business. One unit, yeah, you can turn, if you have one unit and you want to turn it into a franchise, you can do it if you've got a great idea that nobody's, ever thought of. And, it is something that can be done in almost any city across the US. Then that's a good starting point. Preferably if you've shown that you can reproduce that. So now you've got more than one unit. You've got two, you've got three units. That goes a long way towards showing your credibility as a business owner that you can reproduce that in different areas. But the major criteria are that proven record of success. Preferably you are bringing in $100,000 or more, because that's what most people are going to be looking for if they're going to invest in that franchise. You've got the systems and processes in place, and it would be preferred that you have more than one unit to show that you can actually replicate that. And whatever the business is, it's got to be needed by people in any city, almost any city in the US. There's some, of course, like, they rent boats. Not all cities in the US are going to be able to rent boats from, but it's still doable in a majority of cities throughout the US.
Well, how about a case study?
So I had a gentleman that was moved from the East Coast, and he was in the IT services, and he moved over into Oklahoma on that. And he, for family reasons or whatever it was on that one, but he wasn't getting paid enough over in Oklahoma like he did over on the East Coast for his IT services. So he wanted me to find him an IT services franchise. That way he would run his own business, and he'd make more money doing it himself rather than working for somebody else, because it just didn't pay that much in Oklahoma for whatever reason as it did on the East Coast. So we started looking into franchise. I showed him a couple IT franchises, but I really got down into, like where are you at now? Some of the things I asked for is, what are the things that interest you? What do you really like doing? What do you enjoy doing? Well, he had cars. He had cars that he worked on all the time on there. So I just threw into the mix. I said, well, let's take a look at a couple automotive franchises for you, then automotive service type franchises on that. Because I was just thinking, if he likes cars, running a business like that might be better. So he compared the IT services. I threw in a couple of automotive service franchises. He ended up going into the automotive service franchise industry, because that was just one of the things that he really loved doing, and definitely ran his own business and got more money than he was running being an IT employee on that, or even running an IT business, although they're pretty lucrative too. But he really enjoyed that, was the point. The point is that that's something that really got him out of bed in the morning, that he really enjoyed doing, and now he could do both. He could do what he really loved doing, and he could make money at it at the same time.
And there are quite a few franchises out there, so you really can almost, like you're saying, with the match, you can pick and choose and cross-reference and all that, and really find the one that really excites you.
You'd be amazed at how many different franchises, different industries. What we see out there on a daily basis is the brick and mortar franchises out there. You build it and they will come, is the general thing. What we don't realize is that there's a lot of services industries as well. I mean, electrical services, HVAC, plumbing, senior care, tutoring, restoration franchises, painting franchises. Signs.
What about online?
So
what about online digital businesses? Are those franchisable as well?
Yep, we do have a digital marketing franchise that's out there that you can do. You can do most of it probably online. Some of it you're going to be doing locally with your local customers, but a lot of it can be done anywhere in the US, because then you just set up the Zoom calls, find out what the client needs, and give them whatever they need for their services to go. So yes, digital marketing is definitely a good franchise. It's a strong one. It's got over 1,000 franchisees in many different countries, as a matter of fact.
Wow. So Greg, is there anything else that I didn't think of asking that you'd like to share?
Well, a lot of my folks don't really know how to go about it. The people that I've talked to, they don't know where to start. They want to get into a franchise and want to get into a business, but they have no idea where to start on that. Well, I would say that a good franchise consultant, one that's got many years of experience, is the way to go. I would prefer that you come to me, but I do realize that there's other great franchise consultants out there as well on that. Because that's, if you go through my book, as I mentioned before, that'll give you the step-by-step process to do it on that. But what you won't know is which franchises are available in your area and which franchises are looking for people like you. And that's where a good franchise consultant comes in. And we'll also kind of get to know you a little bit better and find out what really interests you and what really drives you. So if you don't know where to start, just, pick up the phone, give me a call, go over to my website, check me out, check out my book. Good way to get to know me. I put some personal information in there as well. But that is your best way to get started, is find a great franchise consultant.
There you have it, guys. Greg Mohr. You can find Greg at franchisemaven.com, and I will put that in the credits so that you don't type it wrong. And also, he is the author of Real Freedom: Why Franchises Are Worth Considering and How They Can Be Used to Build Wealth. Who doesn't want to build wealth, guys, right? So give yourself the best chance starting out the gate. And if you already have a rocking, profitable business, consider scaling through creating franchises. Greg, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me, Trudy. I greatly appreciate it.